Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Tarryn, the traveling trainer of GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to interview and welcome for the very first time on GoTarryn TV, Ms. Kathleen Gramzay, who is the developer of Kinnesage self-care massage all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. That's right, folks, she'll be here in just a few moments. First and foremost, I want to ask everyone out there if you would please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And while you're listening to our interview today with Kathleen, be so kind as to like the video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family. Remember, GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. Stay tuned momentarily for Kathleen Gramzay. Hey everyone, welcome back, and we are back on GoTarryn TV, welcoming for the very first time, as you can see, Ms. Kathleen Gramzay, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. Kathleen, how are you doing out there?
Great. Nice to see you, Tarryn.
Nice to see you. Yes, and you know, this is great. This is the first time you're here, and I appreciate you taking us up on the offer. Of course, our mutual friend, Catherine Kerrigan, I saw you on her interview show, and I reached out to you directly on LinkedIn, and so I'm really happy that we got connected and excited to talk to you here today.
Thank you. Me too.
Great. Well, why don't we jump right into it, Kathleen, because I did a little bit of research on you after watching the video with you and Catherine. I was very impressed. For the folks out there, just so you know, Kathleen is an educator, a trainer, an author, a speaker, a licensed massage therapist, and arguably most important, you're the developer of Kinnesage self-care massage, what we'll talk about here today. But we're going to jump into that. If you would please, Kathleen, tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself, just to start right off the bat, where you're from, and did you grow up there in Scottsdale, Arizona?
I did not, but I was wise enough when I grew up in Michigan, which was a great place to grow up.
Yes.
And I recall very specifically being in about 7th or 8th grade and having to help shovel out the driveway at 5 o'clock in the morning, that I wasn't going to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to move out here in '85, so I've been here quite a long time. And from the first day I was here, I was grateful, and it's a really extraordinary place to live.
That's terrific. You know, I've never been to Arizona. I've heard it's beautiful, and you're quite fortunate to be out there, especially Scottsdale. I've heard that's just very beautiful, just very pleasant, nice weather and everything out there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And the biggest piece for me is, which I didn't know at the time when I moved out here, but not surprising, being all about movement. It's a great lifestyle. You can be outside. I'm virtually outside all year round. So for me, that makes a big difference. It's nice not to have what I like to do impeded by weather.
Yeah, certainly. That's excellent. Do you ever get a chance to go back to Michigan at all?
I do.
That's
I do
good.
Indeed. Yep. So I get to go see my family. So I'll get to see. In fact, I'll get to see them for the holidays. So that'll be good.
Perfect. Very good. How far is that about roughly? Is it a direct flight, or do you usually change? Or
I do direct. I prefer direct. So it's not bad. It's like, it's a 5-hour deal.
Cool. Yeah, that's not bad. That's excellent. And, you know, I know that, again, doing a little bit of research on you, that you'd gone to the University of Arizona, and I believe you pursued a business administration degree.
The degree is correct. It was University of Phoenix.
University of Phoenix. I apologize. My mistake.
That's okay.
Yes. I wrote that on my notes, and I wasn't thinking while I was reading. I just said Arizona, but I read Phoenix. So yeah. So University of Phoenix, and what was what were your aspirations and goals at that time with doing the business administration degree? Actually,
I was in real estate development.
Oh, cool.
And I was a project coordinator, and in order to become a project manager, I had to finish my degree. So that's what I did.
Very neat. Excellent. And how long did you do that for, like in terms of working with project management and real estate work?
Actually, 14 years.
Oh, okay.
So I did. I worked for companies and did project coordination, and then I had my own business that I did where I worked with high-end apartment communities and different stuff. And I had a consulting business where I would I could go in from anywhere from doing a feasibility study on a piece of land all the way through lease up and sale for whatever they did, and I could just plug in on projects. So it was a lot of fun, and it's like, okay, it was time for a big shift, and I had no idea how big at the time.
Yeah, wow, very interesting. That's what I was going to ask you about, delving into your interest with health and wellness, and then on your path to become a licensed massage therapist. and then create Kinnesage. Tell us about, please, the big shift. Like, what happened exactly, if you could take us back to that.
Well, it's funny how the universe works, because I was doing my own. By that time, I was doing my own consulting business for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Very comfortable, was very easy for me after having cultivated it, and all was just fine and dandy. And then one summer, in the middle of a great market, not a tough one, but in the middle of a great market, literally my contracts dried up, which was really very odd. And so, because I was doing the same thing, doing all the right stuff, and literally I ended up just writing appraisals. And I don't know if you've ever written appraisals, but for someone, it's not exciting work. It's very tedious. And so it was like the universe said, well, okay, let's see how much you love your business if I take away your comfortable money. So I started really looking at what I want to do, and I saw that I could go to school. And actually at the time, because of just what happened with the market and my business, I was making like a third of my income, so I actually couldn't go to school. But I thought, let me just check it out. I'm just going to look, and so when I can, I can. And then, as it turned out, there was a school here. It was called Phoenix Therapeutic Massage College, which offered student loans.
Okay.
And at the time, there was another school that's really well renowned here, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, but they were more energy based, and I wanted more science based at the time, because that's just how I think.
Sure.
So I chose to go to PTMC. And I went and did my program there. And then, as it turned out, the owner of SWIHA purchased PTMC, and I ended up teaching anatomy and kinesiology at SWIHA.
Oh, wow. That's terrific.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for while you were there?
So I started my practice in 99.
Uh-huh.
And then I think I started teaching maybe 6 months later. No. It was a year, because I remember her saying at my graduation, she said, I expect to see you teaching sometime soon. And out of my mouth, which literally it was one of those things like, who said that? I said, I will when I have something original to teach. And I had no idea, like, who said that. And then what happened was, a year later, a colleague of mine who I took her myofascial release, her name was Pam Field. She's she's an RN background, she's an extraordinary educator and therapist. And so I took her myofascial release class, which to me was like, okay, this is the idea here. I'm tired of getting beat up or beating people up, but massage should feel good. And so I took her class, and then from that, she said, you really like anatomy, you're really good at it, do you want to start teaching? And I was like, okay, I could do that. And then it was also, the anatomy and kines was built in the same class, and then they legislatively split it into separate classes, and then I taught the kines.
Very neat. And like growing up before that, before you jumped into that field and going to school there, were you always interested with massage therapy? Was that always a regular thing that you took part in?
It's interesting, because when I look back at it, once I was in school, it kind of hit me. But when I was a kid, literally, I came from a big family, and we used to all scratch each other's backs and rub each other's backs. And when I was 5, I used to stand on a couch behind my girlfriend's grandmother while she watched Days of Her Lives, and I would rub her shoulders. And then in 3rd grade, I can remember my dad would come home. We were waiting, my mom was finishing dinner, and I would sit on the couch and I would just rub his temples. And I didn't remember any of that until I went to school, and I'm like, oh my God, this has been with me forever. And they say, if you want to see what a natural innate talents we have, look at a child 8 years younger. And really, it's there before it gets, programmed out and or guided out elsewhere. So so I did that, and once I started in school, I was just fascinated. I knew that when I started studying the body, I could never learn it all. Like, no matter, I could study it the rest of my life and never learn it all, which really was fascinating to me. And so I really enjoyed that. And from the time I was 18, I started working in a health club. So I have been active all my life. I just love to move. I love to do stuff. So it made sense. It just all fit together. It's like the perfect pieces of the jigsaw puzzle coming together to unfold this whole path that's unfolded.
That's an amazing story, Kathleen. So would you say that since you had been doing that since your late teens And especially, like you said, since a young child, did you feel like you had finally found, your life's meaning, like pursuing your happiness of your dream and finding what you were meant to be here for in doing that, so to speak?
I really did, and it's not like, I mean, I remember thinking about I wanted to really find what I'm here for in the sense of in service of,
Hmm.
this work. But it was just this, when something is so compelling to you that you'd rather do that than anything else, bingo. And so, I mean, I remember I just sit and read anatomy and kinesiology books because I enjoy them, which is, it's a pretty geekish thing to do. To people who go, what? Why would you do that? But it's not geek to me. It's clear to me. It's fun to me. So I really am really grateful that I followed. First of all, I paid attention to the big sign, which was, okay, this is no longer working, and now pursue. But I did a lot of contemplation, meditation, like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? I started asking those open-ended questions. What else could it be? Where else, and just when you do that, it's amazing what comes your way to kind of just start opening doors.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds so profound and enlightening. I can relate to that too. I'll tell you, my story sometime. But yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. That's absolutely. It's really cool to find your life's purpose, and when it hits you like that, especially in your case, almost being forced to, take that leap of faith. Like, okay, it's time to do it. That's great. Um, Now let's jump into Kinnesage for a second, Kathleen, because I want to ask you this. On your website, and I'll quote this verbatim. I want you to know that your body's design already holds the keys to your greater health and well-being. And then three powerful words that start with the letter M: movement, mindfulness, and momentum. I think that's really powerful in that message. Can you tell us what that means?
Everything really is built in for self-healing. And one of the biggest blessings that I have received is in my study of it is understanding how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really can understand the design of the body for movement, I mean, I was in awe because literally we have sensors in our fingertips, we have sensors in our muscles, we have sensors in the joints, we have this whole, everything that we have going on in the nervous system that's related to movement are all these receptors that take in information and then tell the brain certain information, and then the brain responds through movement. So it's already built in, and there's reasons why we do not, when it doesn't work like it's designed. So there's lots of reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
So movement is, we're designed, there is not a system in your body that can survive without movement. We cannot survive without movement. Every life is predicated on movement. So it really is the life force that's moving, right? Whether it's, if you're talking about in your atoms, molecules, cells, organs, tissue, all of it. So whether it's your circulatory system or your respiratory, so whether it's you breathing or moving or your bloodstream or your nervous system, it's all movement. And it's just like stagnant water. If stagnation starts decay, which ends up in death. So that's the movement part. And mindfulness is, the nervous system is the coolest thing because we have these signals that the body takes in. So if you put your hand on your fingers on your hand, can you feel temperature? Like if you do this right now, can you feel your temperature?
Kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can feel temperature, you
Yeah.
can feel the weight of your hand against each
Sure.
other. That's
Mhm.
just taking it in.
Yeah.
When you pay attention, the nervous system, it's increasing the communication exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So the nervous system responds, and so it's this communication. So when you're more mindful about it, rather than just doing things, because we just basically, people in general, we take our bodies for granted because we've had them all our life.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you're a kid, unless you've had specific, challenges, but usually it works great. And then people get to their 30s or maybe 40s, unless they've had injuries earlier, and they're like, okay, now what's going on? What's the problem? And they see it more as betrayal or, it's breaking down. And actually, pain is a message to tell people to pay attention. So movement with mindfulness, your body's actually talking to you. And if you understand its language, then you can respond and work with it and be in partnership with your body to really be able to live comfortably and flexibly in your body without pain, muscular tension, muscular skeletal related pain through your whole life. It's meant to, this vehicle is supposed to last us the entire lifetime, right? It's not, it doesn't have a warranty of only like 20 years in general, right? So that's movement and mindfulness. And then momentum really is, if you think about inertia, if you think about something will continue to move until it's stopped, or something stays stopped until something moves it, right? Propels it to move. So with our bodies, momentum really is and it's true in any aspect of life, whether it's how you think or how you follow through, whether you have discipline. Obviously, as a trainer, you can appreciate the difference when people have discipline and when they don't. And it's habit. We're really talking about habit. So momentum is using habit in a very purposeful way to get that momentum going, so it just becomes lifestyle. So just like you with training, you start to do stuff and you feel better and you notice, and now it's not, you don't have to do it. You want to do it. You're compelled to do it. Babies and cats, when they wake up, stretch for a reason. It feels good. Nobody told them you have to exercise, right? It's just, it feels good. So that's really, it's about understanding the mental aspects or the psyche aspects of how you view things and how to use that in a way to propel you forward in the way that you want to live, so you can live a more joyful life.
Very good. I love it. That's a very profound too, and very empowering to know that we can control, our own movement, and it's all in the mind and motion. And how about the Kinnesage name? That was going to be my other question, Kathleen. How did you come up with the name Kinnesage Self-Care and Massage? It's a really cool name. I like it.
Thanks. I coined it because, obviously, so what happened was I started my practice in '99. And so I started my practice, and I was also on call. I worked 2 days a week at the Ritz-Carlton here in Phoenix. So that was like two double days, my practice, and I was also on call two other places. So I was working 7 days a week, and I was doing deep tissue. I was working on all the sports teams, and 1 year later, my body was killing me, literally, my neck, my back. I also had a chronic back issue that I had since high school, which it would randomly go out every 5 years.
Wow.
And it would be out like on my back for 5 days out.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah. So what happened was my body was just saying, after 1 year, said, look, you need to find a smarter way to work or we're done. And I loved what I was doing. So because of my interest in kinesiology, I thought, okay, if I can maybe I can figure out how to use the design instead of force. So that's what I did, was I just started using movement to release the chronic pain and tension, because I developed tension patterns, which is what we do, how you sleep, how you work, how you drive, all those things. And so what I did was release my own pain out of my body, and then I translated into a method that was easier on me as a therapist and kinder and more effective for my clients. So Kinnesage is really massage. That's why it's called Kinnesage, massage through movement. But Kinnesage is kinesiology as massage, using movement as massage.
That's excellent. Again, that's the first time I've heard of that, combination, and that component combined with, both of them, kinesiology and massage. I think that's wonderful. And it makes a lot of sense. I think that's terrific that you're able to implement that and teach. I think a lot of what you do as an educator is teach people how to stay out of pain and kind of preventative maintenance. With your clients, how would you say you work with them in dealing with when you don't see them, in between their sessions coming to you? What are some of the things that you try to educate them on and train them on in dealing with preventing pain and dealing with injuries and such?
Well, in order to answer that question, I have to give you a little timeline here, because I was in my practice. I started my practice in '99, and then about 2006, I started teaching this, because it was thought, after I saw the kind of results I was getting and had great data, I became a CE provider, national CE provider, and taught it to occupational physical and massage therapists. So I did both businesses simultaneously up till 2015.
Okay.
So in 2015, when I saw the opioid addiction issue getting really horrible, the epidemic, it was one of those universal tap, tap, tap. this really needs to be for everybody. So I retired from my practice and then devoted my time to still teaching. And then while I took all of those 17 years worth of information and put it into the Kinnesage self-care system, so that it's the book, Release Your Pain, Expand Your Life, which is an owner's manual for your body, mind. So if you just want to understand how you're designed and how you can use movement to release chronic pain and tension, you can. And what makes it really a system that gets the kind of results that I write about in the book is that it's paired with 6 segments of videos that are like dominoes for the body. So what I did was I created an anatomy shorthand because when I was working on all these sports teams and they'd say, I booked an hour, I'm like, well, how am I going to cover all of that in an hour? So what I did was I created this anatomy shorthand. So I'm systematically working through multiple muscle groups and the connective tissue and multiple layers, so that it's head to toe, skin to deep. And so that is all in the system so that people can understand how it works, and then they can just follow the videos and have their nervous system do that domino releasing through the muscular and the connective tissue. So how I work with clients now is I work with companies and I go in and I do live trainings, because thankfully businesses are starting to really see how important it is that people, if they're in pain or they can't move, they're not productive.
Right.
And their workers' comp costs and all their healthcare claims are huge.
Liability. Yep.
It's huge. And so I work with companies and do live trainings and then do the system with them on a subscription level. And then for just the average, for the public, I really wanted everybody to have access. So I have it available, the system on my website, and they can get the system themselves, which includes some video conferencing with me that's built in. And then for people who are not so much DIY, who really don't, like, either they lack the skills or the confidence, or they just know if they don't have a trainer like you, if they're not going to work with somebody, they're not going to do it. I also have a program, it's an more intensive program called Immersion into Wholeness for people who know that, they really want to have that one-on-one program.
Yeah, that's great, Kathleen. So you've been able now in the last year or two to be able to leverage your time better, it sounds like, where you're spending your most quality time and effectiveness of where you need to be, because you've worn so many hats, and it sounds like in your roles. And so with being able to do that, I take it you must enjoy the training and being able to do the speaking events too then, I take it.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun because the thing is, this other side of it is, and this was a total sidebar that I couldn't anticipate, but when you learn something in your body, you learn it on a deeper level. It's not intellectual, it's not just theory. You're actually learning it in your body. And what happens is, when you put a room full of people together who are working together, it changes the dynamic of the group. Because they're learning, and when you work on yourself, the difference is Kinnesage is about being kind to yourself. This is the absolute opposite of beat 'em up. This is the absolute no pain, no gain. Is like in Kinnesage world, that is the opposite thing. Because your nervous system is so sensitive. It's the kinder and more loving you are to yourself in terms of doing it, the more your body responds, the more it lets you in. So it's a very different concept, which was really fun teaching deep tissue therapists. And also when I was working with athletes, they were, it's like the biggest shift of belief system, right? When they're like, how could that work? How did that just work? So that it's really fun. And then working with businesses, to be able to, so there's a team building aspect that comes out of it too. That's really cool. And but the other aspects that you had asked about in terms of how do I work with people or how do I help them with self-care stuff, I write blogs, and the reason why I write blogs is, and then I also do social media posts that there are so many things: how you sleep, how you drive, how you waken your body up in the morning, how you lift things. There's a bunch of things that people do that I just have on my YouTube channel that people can look at, just like things that create the tension patterns in our life. So if you know what those are and you can correct those, you're going to stop adding to the problem. So if you can correct it, so using a system to correct it like Kinnesage, and then you change the patterns that quit repeating the pattern, then your life is a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, what you just said, Kathleen, with being able to work people out not to pain and such. It sounds like instead of working them out harder, you're almost working them out smarter in a sense.
Totally.
Is what it sounds. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very enlightening too. I like
Yeah.
that. And I saw the self-care instructor training as well on your website. Can you tell folks about that as well if they're interested in doing that and becoming, a trainer for that?
Yeah, in fact, 2018 is really my target for developing that program, or rolling it out, I should say.
Yeah.
So that is something that will be available. If people are interested in that, by all means, just send a note on my website. And if you say you're interested, because the more people, that just helps me then decide how soon I'm going to do it. And, all that, when you have all the pieces together, it makes it easier. So.
Yeah.
Certainly. And what's cool about that is that people who are already a perfect fit to that are trainers, for example, because it makes sense for you guys and with working with your clients, as well as RNs or nurses, and obviously therapists. But people who you don't have to have a degree in any of those things. But obviously, if you understand how the body works and you're already working with it, it makes sense that if you're going to get certified in this, you're going to want to have the avenue where you're going to apply it, that you already have a practice, you already have a business, you already have the clients that you can see where this will really make a big difference. And for trainers, what I found is, you have somebody who really wants to work, and if you're working with a population of 40 to 60 or 40 and older, that's when those tension patterns and the injury probabilities are higher, or they've had injuries and you have the tension patterns, and this resets the tension pattern in your body so that all of your muscles are functioning together properly. So the workout's going to be better, and for you, as far as helping them achieve their workout goals, when you know that you can do it, and then you can reset it. So lots of times I run steps at a high school, and I've had it where my psoas tightened up. It's like I stopped, did one movement. It's fine. I ride my bike. I'll have my adductor tighten up. You can stop and in 2 minutes, you clear it. So having that capacity to be able to understand how your body works and use it any time and you want for the rest of your life is a pretty valuable information to know.
Yeah, certainly. I like your analogy there. We've heard it before. It's cliche, but it's very insightful with the teaching a man how to fish versus doing the work for them. They could survive on their own. It's amazing. It's certainly what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about that when you roll that out next year. That'll be terrific. And let me ask you a few more questions here, Kathleen. What do you foresee in the long-term goals, not only including next year, what you were just mentioning in 2018, but from here on out for the next, let's say 5 years, where do you see, your business model growing into, and where would you like to be, in terms of the next 5 years?
That's a great question. Thanks. I see it. My vision for Kinnesage is that Kinnesage is part of every wellness program out there. So it's a supplemental, do-it-yourself wellness program for musculoskeletal disorders.
Yeah.
1 out of 2 people in this country, 1 out of 2 adults has some kind of musculoskeletal disorder. 74% of the reason people miss work is musculoskeletal. So we do a good job with working with diabetes and working with heart and lung. But meanwhile, musculoskeletal is twice as much as all of those things. And when we talk about wanting to be able to live a more joyful life or enjoy our life for however long we live, you really can't do it if you can't move well.
Yeah.
Right? It makes life a lot more cumbersome and heavy and burdensome and no fun. Right? We're meant to move.
Yeah.
So my goal is, and my plan and vision is that it's a standard program, and the bigger thing is that everyone, my bigger goal is that everybody gets to know how to partner with their body and knows how that is as normal to us. Just like now, nutrition's gotten to be to the point where whether or not people do it, they know that when they do nutrition, like it's a simple thing. Like they just change their eating habits and now they have a healthier life. Well, it's the same thing when you know how you can just use movement and listen to your nervous system and be kind to yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, that if I could impart anything while I'm here on the planet, if that people could take better care of themselves and treating themselves more lovingly and kindly, I think that not only would that make a difference for them, but it changes how we relate to other people. That's the way bigger than 5-year plan, but that's my why.
That's terrific, Kathleen. You know it, and that's, more than half the battle. It sounds like your vision, your mission statement, everything is in place, and you're very determined and driven on course on it. That's excellent. I commend you for that. Kathleen, I can't believe it. We're already 30 minutes in. This time's flown by so fast with you and so quickly. Before we let you go, if we could, just a couple more questions here. Can we please provide us with the best way for people to learn more about Kinnesage? If they want to contact you directly, what's the best methods of ways to get in touch with you and learn more about Kinnesage?
Okay, thanks. The first thing is they can just go to my website. It's KathleenGramzay.com, so it's my name. It makes it simple, KathleenGramzay.com. And then I also have a contact page there, so if you want to send me a note, write a message, ask me questions, you can do that. There's a frequently asked questions page, so anybody wants to know more, there's plenty of answers right there, and then anything personal or additional to that, they can contact me.
Excellent. Very good. And you mentioned this earlier in the beginning of the interview too, Kathleen. Where can they find the books you had mentioned as well too? Let's definitely plug that.
Okay, well, so the book is part of the system, and that is on my website. So if you go to the Get Started page, that will tell you all about it, all the parts, and if you are looking, so some people, if you have just one section, so some people, if they just have a bad back, you can have the full body system, or you can do it in parts. I would say, just to let everybody know, that the nervous system works from your spine out. So if you have something upper body, it works the whole channel. The whole chain is from your spine to your fingertips and spine to your toes. So if you're thinking about, well, I have one thing or another, it's all tied together, and that's why I packaged it as I did. There's options, and I would encourage people really to understand that the knee bone is connected to the thigh bone. So if you can do something, but if you ultimately want to be sure to and know how to clear your whole system, it's available for you to do so.
Wonderful. Very good. KathleenGramzay.com. Easy enough. We'll have that on the screen for the folks, too. Kathleen, thank you so much for your time out there, and I really appreciate it, coming on here and being able to meet you. And would love to have you back on here as a recurring guest, and if you're open to it, love to talk to you next month here about another topic and delve more specifically into Kinnesage. I'm sure we could spend a whole 30 minutes just on that alone, too. But thank you so much for your time today, Kathleen. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and I would be happy to do that, and I'd be happy to be able to, we can have some great conversation about things that people could do in their daily life to make a difference.
Very well said. They need it. We need people like you on here to tell them that. So let's do it. Let's set that up. And for the time being, Kathleen, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy holidays. And for the folks who are watching right now, as we fade to black, here comes the website contact information so you could freeze your screen. We'll see you, Kathleen.
Thanks so much. Take care. Bye, everyone.